Margaret was 64 when her doctor told her something most older adults never hear: the bloating she had been ignoring for 2 years, the brain fog she blamed on aging, the afternoon energy crashes by 2 p.m., the disrupted sleep she chalked up to being older. None of it, her doctor said, was really about getting older. All of it was coming from one place: her gut. And the foods she ate every day, foods she considered completely normal, were quietly damaging the trillions of bacteria that controlled almost everything else in her body. Margaret was not alone. Most adults over 60 have no idea that the cause of their bloating, fatigue, mood swings, sleep issues, and weakened immunity is sitting in their kitchen, in foods marketed as healthy, normal, even premium. The gut is what scientists now call the second brain. It houses 70 to 80% of your immune system. It produces about 90% of your body's serotonin, the chemical that affects your mood, sleep, and mental clarity. And after 60, that delicate ecosystem becomes more fragile, more easily disrupted, and slower to recover. Today, I am going to walk you through 7 foods that research shows are among the most damaging for your gut after 60. Each one is backed by real studies, published in journals like Nature, Nutrients, and the Journal of the Nature Review's Gastroenterology. And number 6 is the one that surprises almost everyone, because it is marketed as the healthy alternative. Before we get into the list, here is something most people do not understand about how this actually works. Your gut is home to roughly 100 trillion bacteria, more than the number of stars in our galaxy. Scientists call this ecosystem your microbiome. Think of it as a garden inside you. When the garden is balanced, full of diverse, beneficial bacteria, your immune system works, your mood is stable, your digestion is smooth, inflammation stays low. But when certain foods enter the garden, they act like industrial chemicals, killing the good bacteria, feeding the harmful ones, and slowly damaging the protective barrier that keeps everything inside your gut from leaking into your bloodstream. This damaged barrier is sometimes called leaky gut, and it is associated with chronic inflammation, autoimmune issues, and many of the conditions that quietly accumulate after 60. Food 1. Ultra-processed foods. This is the big one, the category that does the most damage. Ultra-processed foods, as defined by scientists, are industrial products made with ingredients you would never find in a home kitchen. Hydrogenated oils, protein isolates, artificial colors, flavor enhancers, and preservatives. Examples include packaged snacks, sweetened breakfast cereals, processed meats, ready-to-eat meals, and most fast food. A 2025 review published in the journal Nutrients found that ultra-processed foods are associated with decreased microbial diversity, lower levels of beneficial bacteria like Akkermansia muciniphila and Faecalibacterium prausnitzii, the bacteria most strongly linked to gut barrier health, and an increase in pro-inflammatory microorganisms. In other words, ultra-processed foods do not just feed the wrong bacteria, they slowly starve the right ones. Food 2. Artificial sweeteners. Diet sodas, sugar-free candies, sucralose-sweetened yogurts, zero-calorie energy drinks. For decades, these were marketed as the healthy alternative to sugar. But research now tells a different story. A landmark 2014 study published in Nature found that artificial sweeteners, including sucralose, saccharin, and aspartame, can disrupt the composition of the gut microbiome and impair glucose tolerance in both mice and humans. A 2020 randomized trial in healthy adults confirmed similar effects. The World Health Organization has now recommended that artificial sweeteners not be used for weight control. If you have been drinking diet sodas thinking you are protecting your gut, the science no longer supports that. Water, sparkling water with lemon, or unsweetened tea are safer choices. Food 3. Industrial emulsifiers. This is the one almost nobody talks about, and it might be the most overlooked threat in your kitchen. Emulsifiers are industrial additives used in processed foods to keep oils and water from separating. You will find them in ice cream, salad dressings, packaged baked goods, plant-based milks, protein bars, and many healthy packaged foods. The most studied include carrageenan, polysorbate 80, and carboxymethylcellulose. A groundbreaking 2015 study published in the journal Nature showed that common emulsifiers, even at low doses, considered safe by regulators, altered the gut microbiome composition, eroded the protective mucus layer of the gut, and promoted intestinal inflammation in animal models. Follow-up research in humans has confirmed similar effects. The label natural or organic does not exempt a product. Many of these additives appear in organic packaged foods too. Before we continue with the last 4, let me say one quick thing. If you are finding this useful, the best way you can support this channel is hit that like button and subscribe. Food 4. Excessive alcohol. Alcohol affects the gut in 2 distinct and damaging ways. First, it directly disrupts the balance of gut bacteria, allowing harmful species to grow while reducing beneficial ones. Second, and more seriously, it damages the protective barrier of your intestines, increasing what scientists call intestinal permeability or leaky gut. When the barrier is compromised, molecules called lipopolysaccharides leak into your bloodstream and trigger systemic inflammation throughout your body, so your liver, your brain, your joints, your heart. After 60, the gut barrier is naturally more fragile, and alcohol's damage is harder to reverse. Even moderate, regular drinking, what many people consider just a glass of wine with dinner every night, can quietly accelerate gut dysbiosis over years. Food 5. Fried foods and trans fats. Fried chicken, French fries, donuts, packaged baked goods made with hydrogenated oils. These foods are a double assault on your gut. The oxidized oils and trans fats they contain directly promote inflammation throughout the gut lining. They also feed the pro-inflammatory bacteria while starving the beneficial fiber-fermenting bacteria, the ones that produce short-chain fatty acids, the protective molecules your gut needs to stay healthy. After 60, your gut barrier is more vulnerable to oxidative damage, and the inflammation from these foods accumulates more quickly than it did at 30. Food 6. Processed and red meats. This is the surprising one, and the one that often causes the most debate. A 2022 study from researchers at Tufts University and the Cleveland Clinic looking at older adults found that higher intake of red and processed meats was associated with significantly higher cardiovascular disease risk, and that the gut microbiome was a major part of the connection. The mechanism involves a compound called TMAO, produced when gut bacteria break down certain components of red meat. This does not mean you can never eat meat. It means the typical Western pattern, processed deli meats, bacon, hot dogs, large portions of red meat several times a week, is quietly damaging both your gut microbiome and your cardiovascular system at the same time. Robert, a 67-year-old retired carpenter from Georgia, had been a meat and potatoes man his whole life. After his doctor recommended he cut back on red and processed meats, he reduced his intake to twice a week and started replacing the rest with fish, beans, and lentils. 6 months later, his bloating was gone, his blood pressure had dropped, and his cholesterol numbers were noticeably better. He told me he did not realize how much his daily lunch meat was costing him until it was gone. Food 7. Sugary drinks. Soda, sweetened iced tea, energy drinks, fruit punch, and most coffee drinks at chain coffee shops. The damage here comes from two sources. First, large amounts of sugar feed pro-inflammatory bacteria and disrupt microbial balance. Second, the artificial colors and additives commonly found in these drinks compound the damage. Research published in Nature Reviews Gastroenterology has linked artificial food dyes like Allura Red to worsened gut inflammation in animal models. The effect on the gut barrier in older adults is a growing area of concern. Here is your overall takeaway. Read ingredient labels carefully. The shorter the ingredient list, the better. Cook at home as often as you can. Choose whole, minimally processed foods. Limit alcohol. And work with your doctor or a registered dietitian if you suspect gut issues, because the symptoms of an imbalanced gut often look like aging, but they are often very treatable. In future videos, we will go deeper into how to actively support and repair your gut after 60, the foods that help, the daily habits that protect the microbiome, and the small changes that make the biggest difference. So if you found this video useful, make sure you are subscribed. If this video was helpful, please tap the like button. It helps the channel reach more people who deserve real, honest health information. And drop a comment below. Which of these 7 foods do you eat most often? I read every single one. Disclaimer: this video is for educational purposes only and does not constitute medical advice. Always consult your doctor before making significant changes to your diet, especially if you have a digestive condition, take medications that interact with diet, or have any chronic health condition. Symptoms like persistent bloating, abdominal pain, or changes in bowel habits should be evaluated by a healthcare professional.